Good evening, folks, and welcome back to yet another episode of the ARCA Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Evans, aka Starting Park Car here, coming to you guys on a Thursday instead of our normal day of Tuesday. It's kind of weird coming live on ARCA Podcast on a Thursday, but the reason why, we didn't have an entry list for this weekend's race, so I can't do a show. So we're now live on a Thursday this week. So welcome, everyone, to today's show. We're going to be going over the Kansas race, my weekend with Brad Smith, a lot to talk about there. And we will also be previewing. This weekend's ARCA East, one of the rare standalones that the ARCA East series will have. And there, I think, only 3 standalones this year. I think this is their second one. Flat Rock is the last one. So this is the second of the 3 standalones for the ARCA East series this year. We're going to be talking about that one as well. So like I said, guys, strap in, pull those belts tight one more time, and we're going to have ourselves a fun podcast. So we'll go through my little intro. We go through the beginning of every ARCA podcast, and we will jump right into my weekend at Kansas. And so you guys know drill. Follow me on social media, Twitter, at Starting Park Car on Twitter, for all ARCA tweets, live tweets, and all that occasional that for some reason you guys enjoy. Instagram, if you want to go give me a follow there, Colby Evans Racing. Don't visit there very often, but sometimes you see me there. And of course, I can subscribe to the channel. We just passed 1,800 subscribers. So again, thank you guys all for the continued support. We are less than 200 away from 2,000. So I sincerely thank all of you for liking and subscribing to the channel. And of course, check out theracingexperts.com for all NASCAR me related content, the official media partner of this podcast. So Kansas, the Tide 150, one of my favorite racing names. I love Tide. It's always cool to see Tide doing sponsorships. I just love the logo, and it's just cool. Thankfully, the winner did not have to do the Tide Pod Challenge. I was worried that, they were going to, not only were they going to get the trophy, but they were going to do the Tide Pod Challenge right there in Victory Lane. And thank God that didn't happen. We had a solid entry list. We originally had 26 cars on the entry list. Unfortunately, we'll just get into it. Kansas has a 5-hour test. Now, we explained this on last week's podcast. This test was formerly at Pocono. It was a 5-hour test for a lot of rookies and for teams to just test setups. There was no tech inspection before the test, so you could literally just show up off the hauler and go run. And this was at Pocono for the longest time, I believe up until 2022. And then in 2023, it got moved to Kansas. And personally, I thought, number one, that's a better idea because we run more tracks similar to Kansas than tracks similar to Pocono. So it's a better idea for a lot of these young kids to get 1.5 mile experience, when they're not eligible to run yet. Like, for instance, we had some oddball entries do the test that we're not going to be running the race itself. And I figured we would get a couple of those. I posted them on social media. Ones that were not announced on any sort of entry list, but we had an extra Venturini car show up specifically for Gio Ruggiero in the 20B. That was just a Venturini test car. And then we also had the number 28B, a second Pinnacle racing car for Connor Zilich. So, and I don't blame them. It's very smart. Those are obviously 2 of their full-time East competitors. Obviously not 18 yet, so it's a good chance and plenty of track time for them to get used to a 1.5 mile and see how they're going to do on that because Gio and Connor, they will be running on the 1.5 miles very soon once they obviously turn 18. So I think by my account those were the only 2 cars, non-entry listed cars to show up. We did have a couple of withdrawals, unfortunately. Literally, they showed up there. I don't think they were there 45 minutes, but Kimmel Racing, I'm sure you guys know. Kimmel Racing, they showed up. They unloaded. I'm not sure if they unloaded both cars because I didn't get a good view. They were on the other side of the garage where I was. But apparently, they had a car come loose, which suffered damage to both cars. And the trailer itself. So rather than, I don't think they had the parts to fix it. They obviously didn't have backup noses or bumpers. So they loaded up and they were gone. I mean, they were literally only there about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. So that kind of sucked because at the end of the day, I don't know if the Kimmel cars were going to win, but they were 2 bodies out there that were going to probably be top 15, top 10 caliber cars. And we definitely just need more of those. We need that mid-pack depth in the field. And though the two Kimmel cars would have added to that. So losing them was a disappointment. So that knocked us down to 24, unfortunately. Testing went smooth. There was really nothing major that went on Friday, like I said. Every car that was there except for the 06 made a lap. Peterson was just there to get everything changed over from Talladega, make sure everything was fine with the car for Pinnacle. Take the old decals off, put the new decals on. Just there to get everything all situated and fitted, all that good stuff. But every other car pretty much took a lap. Every other car pretty much did take a lap, or at least went out for an attempt. The only real action that did happen was the 28B entry. It looks like it did actually blow a motor. It did actually blow a motor. I was kind of surprised by that. I wonder if, it could just be an engine failure. I mean, we know I'm not the most in love with Ilmore. It's definitely not my favorite. Definitely not my favorite. Not my favorite place in the world is Ilmore, but yeah, nonetheless, that was really the only incident in open practice. Other than that, everything ran smooth. I think the 18 was the fastest in open practice. I wasn't 100% sure. I wasn't really looking at the pylon that much. It kind of changed a lot. But obviously, I'm sure you guys can figure out who was the fastest in open practice. It was the 18 and the Venerini cars. But I will say, both Connor Zilich didn't show a lot of speed. This was kind of more of a test for him. He really wasn't pushing it. I think this was him just getting experience. But Mosack really showed a lot of more speed than I thought he would. And obviously, he would show a lot more speed in the race, too. We'll get to that in a little bit. Brad was not there. You don't have to be here. It's an optional test for ARCA. That's another thing that's nice. It's just optional. You don't have to show up. You could just simply show up on Saturday. So Club, who was still working on his car, at the time of the test on Friday, they were still working on his car. Had not left the shop yet. And Brad was en route during the test. So everyone else was there, but we were missing them. I'm trying to look through. I haven't been able to find any results from that test. So I don't know if I can pull them up. But needless to say, I'm sure you guys can figure out yourselves who was fastest. We had spotter Rick. Rick, who spots the 31 car for Rise Motorsports, and Tim Goulet. They both ran laps along with Brayton last year. Those were some of the other oddball entries. Cody Dennison did not practice. Ryan Huff did not practice. This is Friday. The 99 did. The 12 did. Both of the Bruce Cook cars did. I think everybody else did. The only cars that sat out the test on Friday were the 48, 03, 10, and 11. And the 06. Those were the cars I believe sat out the test. Everybody else at least went out to make some laps. Some people made quite a few laps in that test. I think there was one car close to 50 laps. I mean, they almost ran half the race in just Friday testing. It was a 5-hour test. 5-hour test. It's kind of cool, man. I got a good photo of one of the Venerini cars. They have these cool height. I think they're height sensors, something like that. They're valence height sensors on the front of the car and on the rear of the car. It's really kind of cool, man, how much technology. You wouldn't think how much technology really goes into the ARCA cars, but, man, they do. They really do. So, yeah, that was Friday. Kind of a smooth day, other than the engine failure for the 28B, which didn't really hurt them all that much. It was a test for them anyway. Other than that, it went smoothly. So, my day again then started with Brad Smith officially on Saturday. And, oh, God, it was cold. It was windy. The rain had not shown up yet. We were thankful enough, and I was really glad about this because I was worried that we were going to have to unload the car in torrential downpour. Thankfully, we were able to get the 48 car unloaded, and then the rain came. Literally, I think right as we got everything unloaded from the car, the rain came. So, and unfortunately, I was trying to get fuel, which is funny because in Kansas Speedway, they have us parked in turn 2, and then they have fuel down in turn 4. It was probably about a mile walk just to go get fuel and then come back. So it was so early, though, that they hadn't opened up all the gates yet. So we had to wait. I eventually tried to go get fuel with a flat tire on the cart, might I add. And literally, I got there, I got my first round of fuel done, and when I was on my way back, the clouds opened up, and there was nowhere I could go. So I'm hauling ass back to the ARCA garage area as fast as I can with 2 fuel cans full of fuel, and it's just the rain is just coming down. I mean, it is 7 a.m., 7:15 a.m., and I am drenched. Like, and I was at the track all day, even for the truck race. So I was just drenched. So needless to say, that wasn't in the best mood after that. Got back there. We had to put the fuel cans, obviously, in the trailer, so we didn't get any water in them. Got the car ready, warmed up the engine in the rain. We basically put the car cover on everything but the hood, and then started it up anyway with umbrellas. That's the word, umbrellas surrounding the engine area, so we didn't get any water in there. So we were definitely doing this old school, that's for sure. Thankfully, the heavy rains got through. We were able to get to tech just fine. The car, there was nothing really wrong with the car other than the standard stuff we had to do. Got through tech fine. Obviously, like I said, no problems in tech. We put our restrictor plate on. I left. It's just weird putting the freaking plate on at Kansas, but hey, can't have the ARCA cars going faster than the Cup cars now. Everyone remember that one year where the ARCA cars were the fastest series at Kansas that one weekend? What was that? 2018, 2019, where the ARCA cars were the fastest cars for the whole weekend? I remember exactly which weekend it was, but I remember it was one of those weekends. And then strangely, all of a sudden, next year, the ARCA cars were slower. Yeah, I wonder why. So, but no, it was fine. We got Brad. I didn't think we were going to go out for practice. I didn't even think practice was even going to happen. But nonetheless, props to the track crew at Kansas. We got going, and practice went along, man. Practice went along just fine. Everybody got to make a lap, except for one. Alex Clubb still hadn't shown up yet. I didn't even realize he wasn't even there. Apparently, they were having issues getting the car 100% done, and then they were having travel issues with flat tires. We had 23 of the 24 cars were able to make a lap in practice. We were the slowest. Brad never pushes it at all in practice, never does. But he made 6 laps, got out there, needed to get done what he got done. When we came back, we actually had an issue though. So I'm sure the average racing fan knows that for the race car drivers, where they talk to the teams is on the steering wheel. They have a button. They have a button on the steering wheel where they hit it, and it connects to their microphone in their helmet, and that's how they talk to the teams. Well, our problem was Brad's push-to-talk on a steering wheel was stuck open. So when he, I don't know exactly what would cause that issue, but basically his microphone was stuck open. So we could hear him breathing, we could hear him mumbling to himself, and we could hear the engine revving up. And we were trying to confusing each other, like, whose radio is the problem? My mic is not open. My mic's not even near my face. His brother Jeff's mic's not open. We finally came to the conclusion, it's Brad's mic. Brad's mic is open. So that was kind of weird. And that was the only problem we had. Luckily, Andy Hillenberg and his guys had a extra push-to-talk thing that we could just install. So no real problems there. Made our qualifying run. In terms of practice, Tanner Gray wins practice. Shocker there. The 18 and the 20 are the fastest 2 cars. But pretty close practice session for Kansas, honestly. You had 5 cars all within a tenth. The top 8 were within 2 tenths. So again, we definitely had some contenders, but obviously it's practice. Not everybody is showing what they got in practice. It was really qualifying. Was where it was. Qualifying was where it was. But of course, with the rain washing out, the practice, then qualifying session just became a practice qualifying session. So by default, Tanner Gray and Jake Finch were on the front row. Chris Wright was 3rd. LeVar Scott was 4th. Andres Perez de Lara was 5th. Amber Balkin, for a broken foot, and I believe it is. I don't know if it is exactly a broken foot. She said she had a broken foot. She only ran 2 laps and went out there at P6. Pretty impressive, actually. That's actually pretty impressive, not going to lie. Dean Thompson was 7th. Connor Mosack was 8th. Andy J was 9th, and Tanner Reif was 10th. Of course, we were last, but again, we're not worried about that. We know we're going to be back there anyway. It's not a big deal to us. One person that did struggle was Greg Van Alst. He was only 18th. I'm not really sure what happened to them. He only ran 14 laps and only ran a 33.6. They had people from Ilmore buy his car. So I'm not really sure what the issue was there. It looked like that they got the issue fixed for the race because he was faster in the race. I think he was. But, yeah, the last couple of weeks have definitely not been the strongest out of Greg Van Alst, but we know he's trying to go full-time for the championship, and obviously certain weeks he's got to play it safer than others, which is understandable. Yeah, his motor was flat. I mean, it sounded flat. It looked flat and it sounded flat. Trust me. I mean, I was there. So we got to the race. Again, we were going to run the full race. We had to. Part of the plan money is you got to run a certain amount of laps. So we ran the whole race, attempted. We were going to attempt because you never know what's going to happen. So the race got going. On time somehow, even with all the rain and crap, we got going on time. Tanner Gray and Jake Finch started on the front row. We got the green, no starting parts in this race. That was kind of the abundantly clear. Even Alex Clubb, I forgot to mention Alex Clubb. He comes strolling in like 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, like 90 minutes before the race started. They had just finished the car. They literally showed up on 3 wheels. His trailer was on 3 wheels. His team was thrashing. I have never seen a team of people work so hard, so quickly, and so fast. So pretty impressive effort by the club people to even get the 0-3 on track. By Alex's account, there was no setup in the car at all. They basically just made the car presentable for the race, which, again, props to them. Literally doing it in 11 days is not easy. They did find a slight oil leak, but were able to repair it, kind of, I think. They said they got it done, but I'm not sure if they actually did. Yeah, so that props to them. So we had all 24 cars on the grid for the race. Got going early in. Jake Finch, obviously, I figured his inexperience would hurt him a little bit in this race. That's why I didn't pick him in my winner's picks. I didn't even pick him as an underdog pick. I just figured his inexperience would kind of hurt him. And shocker, it kind of did. He did not get a good jump on the start. Tanner Gray got to a huge lead on the start. Dean Thompson shot to second, and Connor Mosack went all the way from like 8 on the start. He went all the way from like 8th to 4th, and then he went to 3rd real quick. And they kind of rode that way for the first 3 laps. We had our first caution, the 12 of Ryan Roulette. He spun around. Also in the early laps, the 42 of Tanner Reif. I mean, you know, his race was pretty much over at Dover within the first 5 laps when he slapped the wall. So they had to repair his car. And then they were having issues with his motor. So he came down pit road and had to sit for a couple laps while they were checking on him in the pit area. So 2 races in a row for Tanner Reif, man. It had not been a good start to his 2024 season, unfortunately. No issues for the 12, though, just a spin. They got back going again. Unfortunately, did lose a couple extra laps. So we got back going green again. Same thing as before. It just felt like the 18 knew how to get a better restart than the other guys. The 18 just checking out. And I mean, when I say not much happened after this up until the break, I mean that. No, not much happened. I'll be honest with you guys. I was there. I watched it on the TV or the pylon screens. Not much happened after that first caution to the lap 50 break. The 18 checked out. The 28 made its way to second. I actually got past Dean Thompson, so pleasantly surprised by the speed out of Connor Mosack. Definitely showed more than I thought he would. Dean Thompson was the fastest Venerini car. Jake Finch was about 5th. Chris Wright and Tony Breidinger were running towards, and Amber Balk were running towards the latter part of the top 10. And yeah, the 18 was just putting on a freaking clinic. I mean, man, that car was just on fire. It's not shocking. I mean, that's just it's a former old Cup car from like a couple of years ago. It's probably one of the better cars in the. I mean, we know it's a better car in the field. We just know that. And it's to do it justice, guys. He at one point had an 11-second lead. I mean, I honestly believe had they not had the lap 50 break and we just had green flag pit stops, he might have lapped the field. I don't think he would have caught the 28 or the 55, but he probably would have lapped up to the top 5. If we're being real here. had that the lap 50 yellow not come out. That's how hooked up this 18 car was. I wonder, I don't know if it did happen in the first run or not. One of the real action moments of the race was LeVar Scott and Christian Rose. They didn't bring out a yellow, but they had an incident on track on the backstretch. They had an incident on the track on the backstretch. Which resulted in LeVar coming down pit road to a pair of flat tire, and the front of Christian Rose's car being basically destroyed. I mean, the left front of his car was absolutely destroyed. I mean, kind of shocked he didn't have to come down pit road. He nursed the car. He nursed the car to the flat. I believe this was the lap 50 break. I'm not 100% sure. It was okay. Yeah, I'm just checking my notes here. It was lap 45, 5 laps before the break. Yeah, him and Rose made contact, which then popped LeVar's tire. The 32 nursed it to the break, but pretty much both of their races were over because the 32 had a lot of damage, and the 6 had just lost so many laps. And that was kind of the most action part of the first stage. The second stage was definitely better. Definitely was better. So we came down. I didn't have my fire suit. I was supposed to be spotting, but apparently somebody else had shown up, so I was not spotting. And I didn't have my fire suit with me, so I didn't do fueling like I would normally do. So I literally had nothing to do. I was just kind of standing there in the pit stall. I had nothing to do. It was weird. I'm used to either fueling or doing the spotting gig. So the fact that I had nothing to do, it is what it is sometimes. But yeah, we came down. All 24 cars were still running by this point. Like I said, no starting parks. It was definitely a breath of fresh air, man. No starting parks. Some notables in that first stage, though. Lawless Allen and the Rayom ARCA car. Great to see Josh Rayom's ARCA team back. He was running as high as 5th at one point. He ran solidly in the top 10 in that first 50-lap stage. So, man, I hope Rayom keeps up this ARCA program, man. They could really build something special. Rayom's a no-joke team. I mean, they may not be the best in the truck series, but they still put in a huge effort. And I could definitely say that a race like that helps Lawless, and I wouldn't be shocked if they run more ARCA races to get Lawless some more experience, even though he's had a couple of years in the sport already. Any extra laps, especially versus a 20-minute practice session, is beneficial for a guy like Lawless Allen. So we come down to the break. Andy J got the free pass. I think we had less than 10 cars, maybe on the lead lap, maybe 10 or 11 cars in the lead lap by the first yellow. But again, no real action. The Hillenberg cars, I think the 99 may have slapped the wall. He had to make a green flag pit stop. Dennison, Cody complained crap about that first run. He apparently was struggling with no tires in the first run. Second run was better for him, he said. Brayton Laster, like I said, Brad Smith, and the 06 were the SB2 cars. So obviously, speed for them was going to be a struggle. But I will say the 06 was quite actually more competitive than people think. Pinnacle really brought it in that 06. So we get back going green again. Alex Club, apparently, I guess they were still leaking maybe oil. So they were leaking oil. So the 03 just decided to park it after 54 laps, but no starting parks. And we almost had an ARCA race. I can't remember the last time we had an ARCA race where we almost had everybody in the field finish. So we were very close to actually making ARCA history. One of the very rare times you would see almost everybody in the field finish a race. Unfortunately, we were one car short. Club pulled off at the end of the day, which pretty much left us 23rd. We kind of knew unless somebody crashed, we weren't going to be gaining any positions, and nobody did. Nobody crashed out. They all got spread out again pretty quickly. We had the one thing we did notice, though, sorry to interrupt myself, in the second stage is the 18 was not as strong, man. The 28, man, really brought it on that first restart. Mosack had speed. And unfortunately, after about 10 laps after that second yellow, the 18 kind of pulled back away, but we had another spin by Ryan Roulette. We had another spin by Ryan Roulette off of turn one. Looks like he actually spun both times off of turn one. That's what Racing Reference says. Again, didn't hit anything. Sucks for Ryan, though, but he didn't hit anything at least, so that's good. But it set up the last 18-lap run to the checkered flag. And, man, this is really where it picked up, man. You could tell that the 28, he got motivated. I guess, by that run because he brought it more than ever on that last restart. He hung with the 28, actually led some laps, but he led one lap, side by side. It looked like that the 18 was going to get back by him. He did. He started to pull away, but man, that 28 just ran him down. Now, we give Connor Mosack a lot of shit. A lot of people give Connor Mosack a lot of shit. But I will give him his flowers here. At some point, you got to give people their flowers. It's fair. He ran down the 18 on his own. No lap car interference. He ran down the 18 and passed him. That is not easy to do in the ARCA series on a big track like this. So you got to give him his flowers there. And, credit to him, though, the 18, he put up a fight. I mean, it's not like, the 28 got the lead and took off. I mean, the 18 was right there. But it's like once the 28 got the lead and got that clean air, the 18, there was nothing he could do. The 28 was running the preferred line, and the 18 couldn't do anything about it. And in probably a shocker that I don't think anybody saw coming or predicted, Tanner Gray manages to lose. Sucks for him, man. I'm not going to lie. That's a little embarrassing. It's got to suck, man. I wonder what happened. Maybe the car just went away on that last run. And, the 28 team, they got a great crew chief over there. I think people forget, the 28 team, Shane Huffman, guy knows what he's doing. And maybe he made some adjustments to help set up the 28 car for more of a shorter run. But it paid off. And Connor Mosack goes back-to-back at Kansas in 2 different rides. He actually beat the ride that he won with last year. He won in the 18 car last year. So that had to be even more vindication for Connor Mosack to win this race for Pinnacle Racing Group and beat the car that he drove last year. And 2 wins in a row, by the way, for Pinnacle Racing Group as well. So they're on a roll. But Connor Mosack wins. Tanner Gray finishes what's got to be a disappointing second. Dean Thompson, who was the best Venerini car all day, ends up third. Chris Wright, he actually ran one of the better races. Again, give him his flowers. Chris Wright didn't crash. He didn't race stupid. He did a great job. So I'll give him his flowers. He finished 4th. Jake Finch finished 5th. Andy Jankowiak with another solid 6th place finish. Andres Perez de Lara, unfortunately, he was just kind of there. He didn't really factor into the win, but came out of it with a solid 7th place finish, and that's all he needed to do. Amber Balkin with a solid 8th place finish. Marco Andretti 9th, and Tony Bradinger 10th. Lawless Allen fell off in that second run, unfortunately, but still got 11th. Greg Vanell 2nd. LeVar Scott recovered to 13th. Christian Rose 14th. Vandy Chick 15th. Cody Dennison 16th. Ryan Huff 17th. Tanner Rive only could recover to 18th through his mechanical woes. Michael Maples 19th. Ryan Roulette 20th. Kevin Hinkle 21st. Brayton Laster 22nd. Brad Smith 23rd. And the only DNF, Alex Clubb in 24th. Now, like usual, there were a lot of people, especially that Steven Taranto, people just, once again, making tweets, burying the series, saying like, oh, ARCA is just uncompetitive now. And my argument is this. What series allows these young kids, 18 years old, 19 years old, you can't just throw them straight into trucks anymore. It doesn't work. ARCA exists for a reason. It is a good developmental series. It is. You're not going to get this kind of stuff in the Cars Tour. Sure, you're going to get, more short track experience. And are Cars Tour races more entertaining than ARCA races? I will admit they are. Okay, I'm not going to say ARCA races are usually better than Cars Tour races. That's just not true. Okay, Cars Tour races are better, but Cars Tour doesn't go to big tracks. Cars Tour doesn't go to Talladega. Cars Tour doesn't, go to Michigan or Kansas. That's the benefit of the ARCA series, getting these young 18-year-olds some good experience in fast cars before they go up to the bigger ranks. That's why this series exists. Okay, yeah, every race is not going to be a barn burner. We know that. You know, one car might check out to an 11-second lead. It's called racing, okay? Some teams have bigger budgets than others. We get it. Was the Kansas race good? It was okay. I give it maybe a 6 or 7, maybe a 6.5 out of 10 because of the thrilling finish we had between the 28 and the 18. Okay, it wasn't great, but it was okay. I mean, and that's coming from the ARCA diehard here. Okay, the race wasn't great, but it was okay. It was serviceable. We've had way worse at Kansas. Trust me, I've been there for the last 10 years. Okay, we've had way worse at Kansas. What we saw on Saturday was not the worst. I think the problem is it's just on more of a stage. You know, there's more viewership on the series than what we've had, you know, before. So, I don't know. But just, again, you know, more people bearing the series, saying it doesn't need to be here. Okay, fine. If we get rid of ARCA, where are we going to throw these 18-year-olds? Are they going to go right to trucks? They'll die a death in trucks. Trucks will become more of a joke than it already is. We're going to throw them right into Xfinity? That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. A lot of those kids are not ready. ARCA exists for a reason, even if every race is not a barn burner. Just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, my honest opinion, I give the race a 6.5 out of 10. I think that's being nice about it. Not the best Kansas race. Definitely not the worst. But hey, we had a good finish, and hey, 2 in a row for Chevrolet. We usually don't say that very often in the ARCA series. 2 wins in a row for Chevrolet. Point standings coming out of this race. That's the East points. Main series points coming out of this race. Andres Perez de Lara leads by 6 points over Greg Van Alst. Amber Balkin, shout out to her, man. She's in 3rd place. 3rd in the points is Amber Balkin. She's 19 points behind. Christian Rose, the disappointing run really hurt him at Kansas. He's now 20 points out in 4th. Chris Wright has jumped to 5th in points. And if he can continue these good finishes, Chris Wright just might be able to climb back in this championship. He's in 5th, minus 22. LeVar Scott, man, the bad runs at Talladega and here have really hurt him. He's 33 points out. I don't know, man. I don't want to say he's mathematically eliminated. I know we still have 15 races left, but it's going to be hard for him to climb back out of that. I hope he can, though. It kind of sucks that his championship hopes have kind of been hurt severely in the first couple races just due to stuff that was out of his control. Andy J is 7th, minus 37. Tony Breidinger is 8th, minus 41. Alex Clubb is 9th, minus 65, and he is tied with Michael Maples, who is in 10th, also minus 65, and Cody Dennison, the last full-time driver, in 11th. He's just 11th because he missed 2 races, but he is 11th place, minus 87. So, yeah, the championship battle continues to heat up. Maybe we shouldn't count out. I know it's kind of weird to say, but maybe we shouldn't count out Amber Balkin. You never know. Yeah, I would say at this point, don't count out Chris Wright. We know he'll be good at the road courses. Obviously, with just the raw speed that Venturini has, I'm sure he'll gain a lot at Charlotte, too. Charlotte's going to be a very interesting race with how difficult that track is. But yeah, I'd still say the championship's wide open, and that's something we can't say every year. And yeah, I love it, man. Hopefully we can continue a lot of fun with this ARCA championship. And I do believe the next ARCA main series race is Charlotte. So that'll be a fun one, as the East series will take prevalence for the next couple weeks. So that was the race at Kansas. Again, we ended up 23rd. Just glad we finished. Another fun weekend with Brad Smith, man. You know, I learn a lot every time. It's fun, man. You know, getting under that car, you know, undoing the straps, doing all the stuff in tech. It's so much fun. It's a way of fun that I just don't think a lot of race fans really understand. It's a lot more fun than you really think it is. And I think about the people that crap on us on Twitter. If they were invited by us to come to the track and experience the weekend with us, I think their whole minds would change. It's a lot of fun. We know we're slow. We know we're going to be in the back. But we still come here because we love it and we have fun. So maybe other people should learn how to have fun too. So, but anyway, that was the ARC race at Kansas. We now transfer over to the East Series. This is an East Series standalone race, the second of the 3 for the year. Obviously, I've I've had my personal opinions on the East Series. I have, yeah, I mean, like there, 383,000 viewers for Kansas. That's, I mean, I know we've had higher than that, but, for an ARCA race, that's not bad. Not bad at all for an ARCA race. No. But yeah, for the East Series at Nashville, I've been honest about the East Series, and I admit there are times where I have called the East Series a joke sometimes with how, few of the car counts we have and how it's literally, 4 to 5 competitive cars, and then you have the stragglers. And that's just being honest. That's not being rude. That's just being honest. And I think anyone could probably agree with that, But at the end of the day, we're still out there to try their best. So, but thankfully, we actually have a pretty solid entry list this time. I'm not going to lie. Usually these Nashville races are pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. 2021, when we only had 13, was bad. It was okay because I guess it was okay because Mason Mingus nearly won it. 2022 was just not great. Last year was just not great. This year, though, we might actually have a change with that. It looks like it's not just going to be the 18 and the 20. We have some viable competitors in this race this weekend and a pretty decent car count, I'm not going to lie, for this East race in Nashville. We have 18 cars, which, hey, I mean, if you don't think that's good, here, I'll just read you off the last couple of car counts that we have had at this track. Hang on one second. I just got to pull it up. The ARCA East 2021, we had 13. 2022, we had 14. 2023, we had 15. So the fact that we have 18 here is a bonus. And even despite last year's great finish with Luke Fenhouse stealing the win, it still was a bad race. But yeah, the entry list for the race at Nashville, it goes as follows. I will read the entry list by it's on the website. First up, we have the 0 of Nate Moeller. Obviously, Peterson bringing 2 cars. Not shocker. It's their home track. They're very close to the track, so that's not shocking. We got Jason Alexander in the 10. Great to see him. I believe this might be his debut. And if it is, great. He's a follower on Twitter, and I know the guy, so best of luck to him. We got Zachary Tinkle in the 11. Presley Sora, he is back in the 12, so great to see him back for Andy Hillenberg. We got William Sawalich, of course, in the 18. Gio Rogero in the 20. Connor Zilch in the 28. Rita Goulet in the 31. DL Wilson in the 39. Again, all East Series full-time competitors. Tanner Reif in a random start in the 42. This was not on his original schedule, but hey, more cars. We'll take it. Brad Smith in the 48. Isabella Robusto in the 55. Caleb Koshner, great to see him back after skipping Kansas in the 93. Hunter Wright in the 95. Andrew Patterson in the 96. 2 cars this weekend for Mark Noble's team. The 99 of Michael Maples. The 06 of Cody Dennison, the other Peterson entry. And the 07 of Tyler Scottfield. So a pretty decent entry list for compared to what we usually get for E-Series standalones, not going to lie. As for, like I said, just compared to last year, guys, last year's race, we had 15 cars. Okay. We had 3 starting parks. So we only had 12 cars go the distance. We only had 10 cars finish. We had 6 cars on the lead lap. We only had 3 cars lead a lap. Williams Walsh led 202 of the 205. Oh, yeah, we just had that great finish last year with Luke Fenhouse stealing it from Sawalich on the last restart, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, it looks okay, man. It looks good. It just sucks that one of those notables, Dale Shear isn't there. Now, obviously, I think that's because Dale Shear missed Pensacola, and then he missed Dover. And I don't think he'll be able to climb back into the top 15. My guess is that he won't be able to climb back into the top 15 owner's bonus. And obviously, in the ARCA East Series, you do get a bonus for showing up to all 8 races. And that's, another thing that guys like Dale Shear go for. Like, same thing with Brad Smith. Brad Smith was supposed to be at all of at all 8 East races as well. He had told me that was kind of the plan at Daytona. But obviously the motor failure and everything else that's gone on with the cars and travel issues, unfortunately, have hindered that as well. So we were supposed to have Brad full-time in the E-Series as well as Dale Shear, but obviously back injuries and car issues and travel issues have just hindered a lot of that crap, which sucks because I like Dale Shear, and obviously he doesn't love Brad Smith. So, but still a decent car count nonetheless. As for, let's see here, for engines, looks like the Hillenburg cars. I did not know that the Hillenburg cars run non-Ilmors on the short tracks. Did not know that. Learned something new. So I guess you could add in the 4 Hillenburg entries. Nate Moeller, the 06, the 48, the 31, I believe will be the cars with SB2s, D3 Fords, legacy motors, I guess is the term for it. And then everybody else will have Ilmors, which again, you can, or they might have K&N motors. It goes both ways. I don't know. K&N motors or SB2s. Obviously, with the K&N motor, you don't have the horsepower penalty, which I still can't stand. But, yeah, I don't know. Zachary Tinkle kind of filled me out on that in this morning that apparently Hillenburg doesn't really like to run Ilmors on the short track, which makes sense. It does make sense. Great to see Caleb Costner back. Obviously, some tough stuff going on there behind the scenes. It looks like that they're only going to be back for the E-Series races and maybe a couple of main series races, which sucks because I thought Caleb had really developed a solid program. They had run a lot better than I thought they were going to personally be running, but it just sucks. It sucks that their program has hit a snaggle. We don't see the Weaver name on the team name anymore, so maybe that's an indication of what's gone on. So that sucks. Looks like some people are saying that Dale Shear apparently returning for Flat Rock. That's not shocking because Dale Shear lives near Flat Rock. I figured Dale will probably show up for the races where he lives closest to, so him being at Flat Rock wouldn't be a surprise. Yeah, so the Weaver name for Costner Weaver is now out of the Costner team, so that might give you guys an insight as to what went on there, and unfortunately why the team is no longer running full-time. In the main division, which sucks because we need those cars. We need every full-time car we can get, but it's all set, man. It's all set. But yeah, just glad we're going to have more cars. As for starting parks, I don't expect the 48 to be a full race deal. Brad usually just starting parks these East races. He might. Again, it's always 50-50. I mean, heck, we were 50-50 on Kansas. We were 50-50 on whether we were going to run the full race at Kansas. Then Brad made the decision when he got there, we're going to go for it. So I'm like, okay. We know Moeller is going to be a starting park. Usually he always runs a couple laps. Presley Sora, I hope he runs the full race, but that one's kind of up in the air. We know Goulet. I think Rita will attempt the full race here. I don't think she'll try to start in park. Usually these standalone races with less cars, I think she'll try to go the distance. We know Dennison will obviously be full race. So Alexander will be full race. Tinkle will be full race. So it looks like it might just maybe the 0 for sure, the 48 more than likely, and the 12 is a maybe. But other than that, it looks like we got 15 cars who are going to be guaranteeing that they're going to run the full race. And that's the same amount of cars that attempted last year in general. So right there, we're already at a win. Sorry, guys, I'm dealing with some congestion. I'm trying to get through this. As for cars that can, I mean, we'll be honest here, can win. Looks like we'll have the 18, of course, the 20, of course, and the 28, of course. Throw in the 55. Amazing how competitive Isabella was at Phoenix. Maybe you could throw in one of the Noble cars. They're pretty competitive too. They do run Ilmors, so throw them in as an underdog pick. But as for who's going to win, well, unfortunately, Luke Fenhouse is not here again. I wish Luke Fenhouse was here. I really do wish, but he's not back. I do fear, though, Connor Zilich's inexperience will cost him at a track like this, especially with Sawalich having more laps here. So I'm going to go with the comfortable pick and go with William Sawalich as my winner's pick for Nashville. And my underdog pick, let's see. What do we got for an underdog pick? I'm going to go with Robusto. You know, I'll tell you what. We'll go with Robusto. She showed a lot of speed, man. She showed a lot of speed. So I'm going to go with Robusto as my underdog pick, man. And for Sawalich, man, he pretty much needs to win this race because he is far back in the points. The incident at Dover severely hurt him. The point standings in the East Series, I got him right here. If I can find them, I had them in my tabs. Here they are. Right now, Gio Ruggiero leads Connor Zilch by 3 points, and William Sawalich is 15 points back. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but in terms of E-Series standards and where the 28 and the 20 run every week, which is right up there at the front, definitely not what the 18 needs. So you could definitely say that the 18 is going to be extra aggressive this weekend, knowing that they have to make up points. And if you're the 28 and the 20, you're going to do everything you can to beat the 18, so you keep him down in the points. So, like I said, the one thing I love about all three ARCA series this year is that you can't predict the champion. And that is always the best part because let's face it, we could pretty much predict the champions last year. I mean, we knew Jesse Love was pretty much going to win the title last year, and we kind of figured that William Sawalich was going to win the East title and that Sean Hingorani was going to win the West title. I think I'd predicted that last year. Pretty easy guesses. But this year, man, it's wide open in the West Series. It's wide open in the East Series between those three guys. And it's a good 5-car race in the main division. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun when in all three series, you genuinely cannot predict the championship. So it's fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, like I said, don't sleep on the Noble cars. They usually bring a really good setup for a team that only runs part-time. And this is their home track, so you know they're going to try harder than usual. But yeah, so those are the point standings. Obviously, Sawalich needs to improve. It's going to be a fun race. Looking at the entry blank right here, I got the entry blank. Of course, if you guys want to go check this out yourself, just simply go to arcaracing.com. Scroll down to the bottom where the competitor site is, and it's right there. It's literally right there for you. Again, I love being able to look at these. It's fun. So first place, the Racing First breakdown. First place is $5,000 with 18 cars in the field. Last place is $1,100 with all contingency awards possible. First place is $12,550. Second place is $5,925, and third place is $3,900. Flow Racing bonus. Top 20 cars get an extra $200 bonus. So obviously with only 18 cars here, all 18 cars will get the extra $200. And for Brad Smith, this is actually kind of smart because when you look at the entry list, we only have two Fords listed. So by default, that would give both Brad and Nate Moeller the bonus money for the top Fords. Brad, depending on who finishes ahead of each other, $2,000 goes to the one, and then the $1,000 goes to the other one. So that's kind of a smart move there by Brad to actually enter. So by default, he could get $1,000 for the purse money, $2,000 for the bonus money, and then another $200. So purse money for Brad might actually be a little bit better. Than a normal race week just by bringing the Ford. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, like I said, it'll be on Flow Racing live this Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. It is shortened to 150 laps this year from 200. I also like that change. When you don't have the biggest car counts, it's better to have a shorter race. And this essence, I'm all for shortening races. Not in the Cup Series, but in this essence, I'm okay with shortening the race by 50 laps. Excuse me there again. But yeah, should be a fun race, guys. Again, my picks are William Sawalich as my main pick, and I am picking Isabella Robusto as my underdog. So, wow, I did not expect to be here for 49 minutes, and you guys are all still here. So, as for my ARCA gig at Iowa, we're in discussions right now. That's all I can say, but I think the one thing I can confidently say is I will be making my debut at Iowa. It's just a matter of contracts. Contracts, of course, got to sign the dumb contracts. and a little bit more discussions. So, but I feel like I can confidently say. Right now that Iowa is going to happen. Not 100%, but I'm confident. I'm confident about it. Anyway, guys, thank you all for tuning in for tonight's show on a Thursday, nonetheless. So the fact that we still have as many people as we do live on a Thursday, I thank you all so much, and we will see you all hopefully next Tuesday. Again, all depends on entry lists, but if the entry list next week, we will do that show. Wait till next Thursday like we did this week. So you guys have a great rest of your night. I'm going to get on out of here. Going to go finally eat some dinner. I got a 4 a.m. shift tomorrow that I am not looking forward to. And I will catch you all next week. As of course, like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell for notifications. You guys never miss a podcast when I go live. And we'll see you. We'll see you, Baron. I give you guys the goodbye salute. And I'm signing off. Colby Evans, starting park car. Goodbye.